Okay, in this video we're going to have a look at a bit of practice on sketching straight line graphs. What I'm going to give you is simply the equation of the straight line, or if you like, the name of the straight line, and we just have to make a sketch of the straight line. A sketch does not mean an accurate diagram. I do not need to get some accurate points to plot using a table of values or any other method at all. All I need to do is take my knowledge about straight line equations and simply do a crude sketch of what it looks like. Here's number one on the board. Y equals 7x plus 1. Okay, if I want to sketch that, all I'm going to do is, now you should use a ruler for this, but I'm just going to quickly set up a y and x axis as a cross wire in my sketch, like so. I look at that there, and this is in the format y equals so many x's plus a number. Remember what you've learnt in a previous video. Remember, the number on the end is where the straight line crosses the y-axis or intercepts the y-axis. So all you need to do is go onto the y-axis, and at plus 1, well, because it's not an accurate picture, it doesn't matter where you put plus 1. As long as it's on the positive y-axis, let's say it goes there, and label it 1. So the straight line crosses the y-axis at plus 1. Next, you look in front of the x and you'll see the number in front of the x is a 7. It is a positive 7. As soon as you see it's got a positive 7, you know that number controls the steepness of that straight line. If it's a positive number, it slopes that way. If it's a negative number, it slopes that way. And so what we've got there is a positive value slope. The rule of thumb is the bigger that number is there, the steeper the straight line graph. Okay, so we'd normally expect a straight line graph with a steepness of 7 to be quite a steep picture. So I'm actually going to draw this quite steep. Just one small point, which I'm not going to dwell on too much, is this. Because I'm not actually going to do an accurate picture here, and I have not done an accurate scale, it is possible for a straight line graph to have a slope of 7, and you could draw it like that, which is much more shallow. That's because if you change the scale that you're actually using, it is possible for me to get y equals 7x plus 1 to look like that, or I could make it look like that. Okay? All we're saying is, if you have y equals 7x plus 1 on the same picture as y equals 1x plus 1, then the 7x plus 1 graph would be a lot steeper. So when we're doing a sketch, we generally speaking draw the 7x plus 1 graph a lot steeper in the picture, even though technically I could draw it like that and you'll get your marks, because by changing the scale I could make it look like that. Okay, and I think I've made that point in a previous video. Okay, so that's it. So if I do a second one very quickly, number 2, I could do y equals 2x minus 3. I'm going to do a sketch of that, so quickly set up the y and the x-axis, like so. Very quickly, it crosses at minus 3 on the end, so it crosses the y-axis at minus 3. So down here somewhere, as long as it's down here somewhere, label minus 3. That must be labelled to get your marks. And then you've got a slope of 2. That is a positive 2 slope, so it's going that way. Now, if I was to compare it to that, it's not going to be as steep as that graph. But once again, I could draw that really steep because there is no scale. But generally speaking, if I was drawing that, I would draw a line something like that to represent y equals 2x minus 3. That's all you need to be able to do in this little section. Y equals 2x minus 3, there it is. Okay, a third picture, I'll do it here. Y equals, let's change it to minus 10x minus 2. So y equals minus 10x minus 2. Little sketch here, very quick, y and x, crosses at minus 2 on the y-axis because it's minus 2 at the end of the equation, so down here somewhere, minus 2, and then you've got a negative 10x, so that means it's a negative slope, so that means it's going to slope that way. Because the value of it is 10, negative 10, it's going to be a steep slope going that way. So we draw a really steep straight line, something like that, perhaps even steeper might be better, and that represents y equals minus 10x minus 2. It's as easy as this. A couple more, because there's one or two variations I need to show you. So if I get rid of all of this, and I go on to number 4 and 5 here very quickly. Number 4, here we go, let's have a look. Y equals minus x minus 7, something like that. I've got to draw a sketch of that. So set up the cross wire, y and x. It crosses at minus 7 on the y-axis because of that. So anywhere down here, just indicate minus 7. It crosses there, like so. It's got a negative in front of that. Now, if you're not sure about this, get a colour out. Minus x is the same as minus 1x. So it's got a slope of minus 1. Minus slope means it goes that way. So therefore, I need to draw a straight line. It's not very steep because its value is only 1. Something looking like that. That's minus 1x minus 7. Okay, how about number 5? What about y equals 8x? Now notice here there is no number on the end. Well, I have talked to you about this in the past. Y equals 8x is the same thing as y equals 8x plus 0. So in that case, the sketch would look something like this. You draw your sketch, y and x axis, plus 0 on the end means it crosses the y-axis at 0. So you put a cross at 0 on the y-axis and label it 0. It's got a positive 8 slope, so it's going to be sloping that way, and it's going to be quite steep because of the 8 value. So draw something looking like that. There's y equals 8x. You don't need to draw put the plus 0 in, that's just for me to give you some guidance. Okay, number 7. Okay, a couple more just to finish off this little section. Y equals minus a half x. Okay, that's it. Y equals minus a half x. Once again, you do not have a number on the end. It's like a plus 0 on the end. So y equals minus a half x will look something like this. Plus 0 on the end, it crosses at 0 on the y-axis, which is there. It's got a negative slope, so it's going to be going that way. And a half value means it's quite shallow. So something looking like that is the sort of picture I would draw for y equals minus a half x. Okay, next one. Get rid of number 5 there. So I'll do number 7 here. Sometimes you might have something like y equals 8. Now that one there, we've talked about this in the past as well, but just to remind you, that is the same as having y equals no x's plus 8 on the end. Because you've got no x's, you don't need to put them in. So you can just say y equals 8. And that's what we do in maths. We just call it y equals 8. So when we're doing a sketch of, sorry, wrong colour. When we're doing a sketch of this, we set this up, y and x. It's got a plus 8 on the end, so it's going to cross the y-axis at 8, like so. And it is a slope of a 0 value. If you remember, 0 slope means there is no slope. It's a horizontal flat line. So what you draw is simply a horizontal line like so. That is a sketch of y equals 8. Okay, and what we're going to do is just simply memorize. If you have y equals 8, you just go to 8 on the y-axis and draw a horizontal line at 8. It's basically telling you that it's anywhere along this line has y values which are 8. And that's the name of the line, y equals 8. Okay, so if I did question number 8, if I gave you y equals minus 3, this is the sketch of that. Y and x. I'm not even going to bother writing it like that now. It's got a 0 slope, it's got no x's. You just go to minus 3 on the y-axis and you draw a horizontal line. That's the line y equals minus 3. Okay, one more like this. Question number 8. Sometimes they will give you this to draw. Number 9, y equals 0. Well, if you think about it, y equals 0, y and x axis, y equals 0 is actually the same as y equals 0x plus 0. That's what y equals 0 is. It's got a 0 in front of the x, so it's 0 slope, horizontal line. Plus 0 on the end, it crosses at 0 on the y-axis, there it is. And so you just draw a horizontal line at 0 on the y-axis. And that, I'll do this in a colour to make it stand out, is actually just the x-axis. So this one here is actually just another way of describing the x-axis. The name or the equation y equals 0 is the x-axis. And finally, there's one more small point and then you've got everything you need to know about sketching straight line graphs. So if I look at number 10, you may be asked to draw x equals 4, for example. Or I'll do x equals minus 2, possibly. Or x equals 0. I think I'll do all three of these on the same picture to speed things up. So if I'm going to do a sketch of these, all on the same picture, well, it's really simple. If y equals 0 means you go to the y-axis, go to 0 and draw a horizontal line. If I was to do x equals 0, you do the same thing, but with the x-axis. You go to x-axis, you go to 0, wherever it is, it's there, and you draw a vertical line, like so. So x equals 0 is actually the y-axis. Likewise, x equals minus 2. All we've got to do is go to minus 2 on the x-axis, which is there, and draw a vertical line. There you go, x equals minus 2 is that line. So that's x equals minus 2, that's x equals 0. And then finally x equals 4, you just go to 4 on the x-axis, label it, and draw a vertical line. And that is the line x equals 4. These three special lines I've just drawn are vertical lines, and vertical lines are the only straight lines which have a name which begins x equals. All other straight lines have a name which begins y equals 7, y equals 2x, y equals minus 3x plus 4. All others have y equals at the beginning of their name. This here is the only type of graph. The vertical lines are the only graphs which have an equation, or a name if you like, which begins x equals. And that is the end of this little section on sketching straight line graphs.